Leicester Till I Die podcasts on the Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Anchor, and all podcast platforms.
You are watching Leicester Till I Die TV with Chris and Chumps. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. All you need for everything Leicester City FC. It's Leicester Till I Die TV.
Strap yourself in, because we're set up, switched on, and ready to go.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here. Now be sure to watch Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV by subscribing on YouTube and following them on social media for all the latest Leicester City news and information. Come on you foxes!
Hello fellow Fox fans, good evening. It's Monday night. Every night I'm here with you. How the devil are you all? First of two shows tonight. We've got this one, which is the opposition view show, and we're going to be back later with a transfer show special, which could be 2.5 hours of absolutely nothing, because it doesn't look like anything's happening. So stick with this one. This one's the more interesting one. It's going to be a bit feisty on Wednesday. We've got a small matter of this. We have got an away trip to Fulham, and his revenge on the cards. Well, I think we need it, don't we? This is Leicester Till I Die TV.
You are watching Leicester Till I Die TV.
And it's live.
It is, and you can get us live on YouTube on Leicester Till I Die TV, Facebook on Leicester Till I Die the group, and Twitter and Periscope at Leicester TID. Please join in. Let us know your comments. What do you think about the return match to Fulham? Are we going to get our revenge? Well, I'll tell you what, it's been a bad year for actually predicting anything. And I was talking to Emilio, who's joining us in a minute, before, and I said, it's got to be the worst year ever for trying to predict any scores. Steve Lynitz was so impressed that he actually got one right with the Everton draw. He messaged me because he'd actually say got the first one right all season. Couldn't have predicted that though, could we? Well, we couldn't. Well, let's see if Emilio can, and let's bring him in. Emilio from the Fulham Podcast at Cottage Talk, I believe. Emilio, good evening.
Hello there, Chris. Hello, nice to be back on the show tonight. Hopefully, we can reflect on some positive discussions. Hopefully, we need a much-needed victory on Wednesday night, so hopefully we can do the double over you. That'll be nice. You know.
Well, the way things are going at the moment, it's deja vu from this time last year when it all started to go wrong. But it is. We're Wednesday, 6 o'clock, I think it is, the kickoff. Yeah, 6 p.m. and it's on BT Sport and BBC Radio 5 Live, if you have those platforms at all. So we'll say a good evening to Matthew. How the devil are you? Minnie, I'll put the link in later and then you can come in and have a quick chat, and not a problem at all, see how the show goes. I mean, you obviously sit here a lot happier than I was, and no disrespect to you. It was a bit like Sheffield United. Well, it was exactly the same, really. Sheffield United beating Man United. You were bottom of the league at the time. And I know football games aren't played on paper, but you must have been over the moon at that win.
Absolutely. And, I was actually quite bullish at the time when I did the show with yourselves. I think I predicted a 1-1 draw. I think at the time I felt we could get something out of the game. I was just being very optimistic. But I was saying, when we've got nothing to play for, we have nothing to lose. I think we play better. I think, to be honest, I think, when we played the big teams, the Tottenhams, the Liverpools, Man United, Chelsea, we've not disgraced ourselves. We've only lost a couple games in the last 9, I think it is now. Unfortunately, there's no victories in those. The last victory was against yourself a couple of months ago. So we haven't got that winning formula. We haven't got that winning mentality. So we need to find a way very, very quickly to find a way of winning games, closing games out. But we're competing. That's a positive. We are competing, but competing is not enough. We've got to start turning those competitive games, those draws into victories. And I can't see no reason why we can't give yourselves a run for your money on Wednesday night and actually turn you over. We've got to start at some point. I thought 2 months ago we fully deserved that victory, and I think a lot of credit goes to the way we were set up. We took our chances. We limited you to very few opportunities. I think it was right at the end you scored a goal, and another
about
day
4 minutes to go, I think it was.
Yeah. But overall, I thought we warranted that victory, and I thought that would be the springboard for us to push on. And we have pushed on in the sense that we've been more difficult to beat, but we still haven't found a way of winning games, and that's a problem. And we're starting to feel a little bit detached from the bottom, from Brighton, the teams above us. So we urgently need a victory on Wednesday night.
I mean, as we spoke briefly before we came live, and I reminded you of our Great Escape year, and at this point, then we were worse off than you. I think we were bottom, and suddenly we just went on a run, and we were like you. We weren't getting tanked. We weren't going out there and losing 4-0, 5-0, or anything like that. It was 1-0s, 2-1s. It was very, very close. And like you said, it's that spirit, that fighting spirit that we had in every game. The results weren't going for us, and we accepted that. But I wouldn't give up hope.
Yeah, and I think the way I look at it, on paper, we're getting some good results. I think we was a little bit despondent with our last 2 games away from Brighton and away at West Brom. We deserved probably to win the game against West Brom, but again, we were guilty of missing a lot of opportunities in the first half. And in Brighton, you could argue we got away with a draw when we should have lost that game. So net, got 2 points out of 6. If we'd beaten West Brom and lost to Brighton, net, that would have been a point more. So it's good not to keep losing games, but I'd rather start getting some points on the board. And as you're showing there, look, we're 7 points away from Brighton and 8 from Newcastle and Burnley. So, but there are enough games. We've still got the likes of Sheffield United to play, Burnley home and away, Newcastle last game of the season. So there are some games there that we know we should be earmarked to win, but it's easier said than done. Winning is, you have to show that winning mentality, like you said, but it might just take an ugly win. Win one ugly game, and suddenly that will give you the spirit and confidence to push on. And 2 back-to-back victories will push us literally knocking on the door to Burnley Newcastle. So it's not over yet. I'm optimistic. I'm reasonably optimistic, but that my glass half full is getting less half full by the day. That's a problem. And
you have got, of course, the game in hand over Brighton. Just bear with me. That's it. I couldn't get rid of that. You have got the game in hand over Brighton. Win that. I think the only worry is that nobody is putting a run together.
No.
And that's, I mean, Burnley are down there. Brighton, I mean, they beat Tottenham the other day. Like
doesn't help us. It doesn't help us.
No. And if I was a betting man, I would have lost a fortune this year because, you've got at our end of the table. I don't mean that disrespectfully, but at our end of the table, you can end up in one day having 3 different people sat at the top of the table, depending on the games and the results. And we're not getting runs together. I mean, if we have a look here at our form guide, I mean, you're struggling. I must admit, you've got the 3 draws, which were points you've not lost. But we were on a run, then suddenly we lost, and then we drew. Sorry, with Everton, a game which we should have won, and then we lost to Leeds, deservedly so. It was one of those games. I don't know. We didn't turn up, but that's, I think, is the key for any team if they want to either do well at our end or try and stay up at your end. I mean, I think there are 2 worse teams than you, at least in that division. I'm not being that sarcastically because they're below you, but I think for me, Sheffield United and West Brom are down. you are giving yourself a fighting chance, but you've just got to get that run together.
Yeah, exactly. I even like Burnley, because I don't think technically Burnley are a pretty side to watch, but they've suddenly found a bit of a way of winning some games. They go to Anfield and get, you could argue, a deserved victory. It doesn't help our cause, but they came back from 2-1 down to beat Villa last week. So they had that fighting spirit to find a way of winning, and just takes 3 wins out of 4 or 5, and suddenly, 9 points out of 18, that's actually going to push us back up the table. It starts to put pressure on the other teams, but as each game goes by, you don't start to win. You've got less games to win. The mathematics become a little bit more improbable. So it's not over till it's over. We did a great escape many years ago, as did yourself. So it's hope, but it's looking bleaker by the day unless we start to win against yourselves on Wednesday, and then we've got West Ham at home on Saturday. Again, both games are very tough, but who's to say we can't get at least one victory out of 2 from those games?
We're talking about Sheffield United beating Man United, Brighton beating Tottenham, Burnley beating Liverpool. Like I say, you got the 3 points off us, which, like I say, and no disrespect to you, I don't think anybody was expecting. You came, you did a job on us, and you won. You got the penalty via VAR, which is always a bit controversial when it's a VAR penalty. But you restricted us, and you've won that game, and it must give you belief that you can. Games are winnable. Yeah, exactly. And I think it's obviously you guys have got a couple. Vardy's. He's got an injury at the moment, so I think that will also help us. But I think that will give us a bit more confidence. If we can stay strong in defence, we've been very good in defence. You can see how many goals are we conceding. Very few, to be honest. A couple of goals against West Brom wasn't particularly impressive on Saturday. But aside from that, Tottenham only conceded one. We only conceded once against Tottenham, once against Liverpool, once against Chelsea. Man United scored from a great Pogba goal. So to be honest, we are difficult to beat, and we're looking reasonably organised and tight, but hopefully we can start to find a way of scoring goals and keeping it tight at the back. Then we may have a chance. But I see this as a bonus game. I had an earmarked points from this game on Wednesday night. But if we can get something, we need something urgently from it. Otherwise, that gap's just going to keep extended further and further. I mean, I'm just looking now. You've conceded 29, but Wolves have conceded 30, Newcastle 34. Sheffield United 34 and West Bromwich Albion have conceded 50. So, like you say, you're not conceding as bad as the others around you, and the goal difference at the end of the day, that could be worth a point. Yeah, absolutely. And if you actually look at the amount of goals conceded following the first 4 games of the season, our ratio of goals conceded is much better. We lost 3-0 to Villa at home, 3-0 at Arsenal at the beginning of the season. You take away those awful performances at the start. Actually, we're quite competitive in terms of our defensive prowess compared to the likes of Man United and other teams at the top. So actually, but they could score goals and we can't, and that's a problem. That's a difference. So I mean, like you mentioned, I don't know sort of what your injuries are like. We've got 2 definitely out, and a third one I think is going to be out. Vardy's out injured, and thankfully we have got Barnes and Maddison, who have been chipping in with goals. Ndidi in centre midfield is out, but we do have Mendy who's coming in, and Castagna got injured the other night. Do you look at that and go, great, no Vardy, that's brilliant? Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, I think when he played it, back in end of November, he wasn't really in the game, to be honest. We did a job on him, to be honest. And I take some courage with that he's not playing on Wednesday night, but it's. With all our possession, is what can we need a bit of quality in the midfield. I think it's going to be one from central midfield on Wednesday night. I think who's got the quality, the vision to push forward. I think that's going to be where the game's going to be decided. I think with defensively, we're both reasonably solid. We've both got good goalkeepers, but it's who's got that invention in midfield. That's going to be the battle. There's a lot of games coming in thick and fast now. Players returning back from COVID. I think I'm starting to see a bit of fatigue sneaking in, to be honest. And the players have done well to come back from COVID, but they've been thrown right into the mix and having to play 2 games every week. That's a lot of game time when you're normally fit, let alone when you're recovering from COVID. So that's going to be the key to the success. I think it's going to be an open game, two good passing teams. But who's got that instinct in the middle of the park will probably go on and win the game. It's almost like competition football now, isn't it? Like the World Cup and what have you. You know, we have got. I mean, I'm virtually doing a different show every night of the week for the next month, and then for us it gets worse because we've got the Europa League coming back into it.
I don't know about that.
You know, but you know, you can't moan because we would moan if we weren't in Europe. So, you know, we can't go mad. But just a comment here, and if I can just find it, that Stephen said, Chris, if we can't lift ourselves for this game, then I give up. Fulham deserve their win against us, but we need to look at ourselves in the mirror. It is Leicester. We do struggle sometimes against the teams like yourselves. I mean, I know you said Vardy wasn't in it and you did a job on Vardy, but Vardy is, I'm not saying we're just a one-man team, but you can do nothing for 89 minutes. Only needs 1 minute to get the goal. We haven't got Vardy. But you look at that and you think like Leeds beat us. Do you look at Leeds beating us the other day and go, yeah, we're in with a chance?
Yeah, again, you look at, I think we were mentioning this when we played you back in November. Your home form seems a little bit inconsistent. You know, you got thrashed by West Ham. That was an awful performance from yourself. We've beaten you there. Leeds have gone there and done a job on you as well. But I think you're more competitive away from home. So that's my nervousness. You seem to play well on the counter-attack. Well, with Vardy not playing on Wednesday night, how much will that impact your ability to play on the counter-attack, especially away from home when you can come and do a job on it? So we both got similar philosophies here. We both like to play on the counter-attack. You know, you've obviously got a key player injured. You know, I think hopefully, touch wood, we haven't got any injuries for the game on Wednesday. But I think it's going to be an open game, a good competitive game. Two good passing sides, but it's who's got that instinct in midfield. That's going to be the game. I think I disagree with your supporter who said you give up if you don't win against us on Wednesday night. The season's far from over at the bottom or at the top. It is. It's all about who's got the strongest squad, who can rotate, who can. It feels like every game's a cup final because there's no predictability in score lines at the moment.
I know, and it's really weird because you sound very much like me. You sort of look at the game, say a month in advance, and go, right, well, that could be a win. That's probably we're probably going to lose that. That's a draw, and then you start looking at teams all around you. I mean, you know, I'm a fan. I do this, but I'm a fan, and I have the same feelings as any other fan. We lose to Leeds, and you know, the world's over. That's the end of the world. But then you've got to look that Liverpool have just lost, Tottenham have just lost, but it is like a season where anything could happen, and I think it'll probably go right down to the wire. But you said there you've got no injury problems at all.
Not at the moment. So I expect that to be a fairly static team from what we played against West Brom on Saturday. Mitrovic has suddenly been transitioned back into the team. He's been out of favour for the last two plus months. He's out of form. His motivation and morale is rock bottom. But he did well in that first half against West Brom. I know West Brom are West Brom. It's not no disrespect to them, but
no.
If we've got a striker there, we need to make sure he's utilised appropriately. I'd like to see Scott Parker making a few tactical changes during the game as well. So rather than his formula is very much play, keep ball, keep possession, play from the back, press forward, and maybe play on the break as well. But that clearly hasn't got us enough wins so far. Clearly, it's only wins out. So he's got to start mixing it up a bit. I've said on our show on the Cottage Talk podcast yesterday, change it a bit. Do something a little bit unpredictable. When push comes to shove, you need to start grinding out wins. Something has to change, and I'd like to see him maybe changing a couple of things against you on Wednesday night. Play it long to Mitrovic as well as trying to play neat passing football, because it's trying to play one-dimensional type of football. Pass. It's not giving us victories. Victories is what counts.
Oh, definitely. And the funny thing is, you mentioned Mitrovic there, is we need another striker. I mean, the fact that Vardy's out, Perez, he isn't he should be a centre forward, but he isn't. He's not a natural goal scorer. And Nacho, I don't think Nacho couldn't score. He was in the proverbial brothel sort of thing. And Mitrovic, we've been saying for 2 or 3 years as fans, we need a striker. This should be the window. We've got to have a striker. Vardy's out. He's getting older. If he gets injured, he's going to take longer to recover, etc., etc. And Mitrovic is a name that keeps popping up, and people say, "Yeah, we should make an offer and go in." But has he been performing well?
Not really, to be honest. this Scott Parker plays, very much, doesn't suit Scott Parker's style of football. So, he's been really not being given any game time. He missed a couple of penalties earlier in the season. He missed that penalty for Serbia that knocked them out of the European Championships and got Scotland through to the actual tournament this year. So his confidence is rock bottom, but he's had a couple knocks here and there as well. But Scott Parker's been told, if we're not going to get any strikers, you've got to play him. He's your main striker. He can do a job. We've got to find a way of integrating him into the team. Look against West Brom. He had some nice touch. He got a good assist early on in the game. His hold-up plays inevitably was very good. If you can keep him focused, keep him, on your side and make him feel loved, then, we can get the best out of him. He just needs a goal. If he gets a goal, he's going through a bit of a drought at the moment. I think it's over 800 minutes since he last scored a goal. So
You said it now. Leicester we hate as Leicester fans for any commentator, anybody to say before a game, this guy hasn't scored he hasn't played for 3 years. Come on against Leicester and it'll score now. If he scores, I'm going to message you and I'm going to blame you now. You'll be happy, of course, but
he needs a goal. He needs a goal, and it will come, but we've got to give him game time. It's no point drop in and out. He's in and out of the team at the moment. 20 minutes subs cameo appearance in the second half. 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Play him week in, week out, and make him a threat. Put the defenders under a lot of pressure. That's what we need. He's that type of player, and we need him to fight. While we're right there, rock bottom in the bottom three at the moment.
Yeah. Have you signed anybody this January window?
Not at the moment, as we're still being rumoured to go for Josh King from Bournemouth. So, okay, a useful addition to the squad. It will give us a bit more depth, but we've had like every other team, there's been a whole month to go and get some players. I would have expected a little bit more. A more stronger signing, but who would want to come to play for Fulham? That's the thing. I'm just looking from perspective of a player. If you're in the Championship, upper reaches, why would you want to go and sign for a club who's in the bottom three on the verge of getting relegated? So it becomes more challenging to attract the right type of player who want to commit their future to our club. So whether we get him on loan or there might be an option to sign him at the end of the season, we'll see. But we need more depth there. We've had makeshift strikers like Cavallero, playing up front in recent games. Again, he's not a goal scorer, and that record's proven he's not been good enough to score the goals that we need to win games. So we just need another striker, and ideally another central midfielder wouldn't go amiss as well. I need someone with a bit more quality in the central midfield who can actually make that key pass. We've got Loftus-Cheek again doing a good job, but he hasn't hit the heights that we all expected, to be honest. But he's slowly getting into the game. He's starting to make a difference for us, and he could be a very important player the next 2 or 3 months.
You sound. There's some clubs that come up and spend a fortune on trying to stay up, and it sometimes works, it sometimes doesn't. And then you've got clubs like West Brom, and they're pretty much like yourself, is that you're not spending the money, and I get that, in case it is a catch-22 situation. You don't spend the money in case you go back down again, but if you don't spend the money, are you cutting yourselves a chance of staying up?
Yeah, exactly. And you look at the players that we've bought, we've got some good international players. We've got Anderson in defence, he's a Danish international. Areola was the third keeper in the France World Cup, so he's proving his worth as a goalkeeper. Tosin Adarabioyo we bought from Manchester City, Kenny Tet from Lyon who played in the Champions League semi-final last year. So we've bought some good players, obviously defensive players first and foremost. That was always the thing, protect and tighten up in defence. Obviously, from an ownership perspective, we haven't invested in other area of weakness, which is our attacking prowess. But it's always difficult when you get promoted. You've got a squad that's predominantly a Championship squad. There's got to be a level threshold. You can't go spend 100 million like we did 2 years ago and then get relegated straight away. So the owners have learned from that, but clearly, we're not winning games. So hopefully he might surprise us and get a couple good additions this evening. Otherwise, it's going to be touch and go whether we can stay up or not. But why would a player want to come and play for Fulham? That's a challenge.
Yeah. Steve's there saying, just to myself, without Ndidi and Vardy, how much do we need Maddison and Barnes to step up? Totally. And in fairness, they have been doing, because Vardy, we say we're missing Vardy, but he hasn't actually scored for like 5 or so games. So, although it's what he does, he's one of those players that it's what he does on the, not just the goal scoring. It's what he does on the pitch in taking defenders away, and he gets away with it. Perez and Nacho, if they do it, are having a bad game. You know what us fans are like. But a question for you here from Stephen. Just fit this one in. Emilio, do you have any players coming through the junior ranks pushing to get into the first team?
Yeah, well, we do. We've got a couple good strikers coming through in the under-23s who are doing. We've got Jasper Stansfield and a guy called Pablo Carvalho. So some good young talent coming through, but big gulf from under-23s to suddenly being thrown into the deep end in the Premier League. It's we've got a sort of substitute strikers like Abubakar Kamara, but again this is his second year in the Premier League. He's not a Premier League striker person. He'll run, he'll work hard, but these aren't players that are going to get us out of trouble. To be honest with you, for me, it's about getting quality, experienced professionals to come into the team. But Brighton are looking for a striker, Burnley looking for strikers, West Brom are looking.
We want a striker.
We all want a striker. So it's where are these strikers? It's there are a few out there, but
I think as well. I think the January window is always the worst window.
It is
the worst thing going. But this year as well, with the COVID situation, I don't think teams are going to risk spending a fortune.
You're right. You're right.
Because of the situation. But that said, we early in the season before we played, so we had a lot of injuries, and we were quite young. We were quite so lucky that we had a lot of good youngsters coming through. We've got Luke Thomas left back, and I'm like, who the hell's this guy? And he goes on and scores a goal in the Europa League. But like you said, it's easier in our position to blood those in than it is, although there's a saying like, if you're good enough, you're old enough. But like you say, it's putting a lot of pressure on the youngsters, isn't it?
Yeah, and I look at a lot of our fans are despondent. We're in the bottom three. They're obviously resigning themselves to relegation. But, I always felt it was going to be a long, hard season. My objective, I think I said on the show a couple of months ago, as long as we finish 17th, I'm okay with that. Consolidate and you can push on next year. But it was always going to be a challenge. You've got a squad that's predominantly Championship based. You might maybe have a couple players who are really Premier League quality. The rest are all bottom 3, top 6 Championship type of players. That's not going to keep you in this division. So the owners have had a hard job, and I'm defending them here because they took their while to get some signings in the summer transfer window, but they've been crucial. You see our defensive record since then has been pretty impressive. But we're not scoring the goals, and that's the thing. And so hopefully he'll have seen that, the owners, and they'll invest and get a couple signings tonight and give us the best chance to stay in this division. If we can stay in this division, then I expect us to push a bit like Villa last season. They stayed up by the scruff of their neck, and look, they've invested millions and they're doing a pretty good job this season.
Yeah, I'm going to go for the elephant in the room now, because West Brom early on decided that they needed a different manager to help them stay up, and it's not really working out that well for them at the moment. No. And I think, to be totally honest with you, and I've no feelings either way towards West Brom, but I think that what they did with Bilic, I wouldn't be sorry, and thought, I'm going to be honest with you, if they went down. Any thoughts on that on you, or do you stick with Parker, see if he can do the job? He's got you up once, you go down, keep the squad together, build on that and come back up. Do you stick with him, or stick or bust, as they say? Yeah,
good question. I'd stick with him, to be honest. Whether I think he's a young manager, he's learning. Maybe sometimes I'm having a lot of discussions with a lot of our fans, and I think maybe he could be a little bit more decisive with his substitutions and decision making. But that's all part of learning. Sean Dyche persevered with could have been sacked a few years ago, but he got him straight back up. And look, now they're a reasonably established Premier League team. You've got to keep him. He got us promoted. I wasn't his biggest fan when he got the job, but you can't keep sacking managers. Give this guy a chance. Give him the resources that he needs. If we do get relegated, then make sure we're fully equipped to push on and get promoted again. But unfortunately, a lot of these loan players and these international signings, they're going. Will they want to commit to playing in the Championship week in, week out? That's going to be the problem. Then we're back to square one and having to get Championship players. So it's a vicious circle, to be honest. It's a vicious circle. But you've got to persevere with him if you get relegated. I wouldn't sack him. You've got to have some sort of continuity there, haven't you? Yes,
it's like you say, Burnley did it with Sean Dyche. He brought them straight back up. We did it very much when we lost the playoff against Watford. It would have been very easy to have sacked Nigel Pearson and his staff. We didn't. We stuck with him. And next season, we walked away with the championship. And the rest, as they say, is history, including the things we shouldn't talk about that happened in Thailand. Look, thanks very much for joining us, Emilio. I'm just going to quickly, before we round it up, we're going to have a look at the score prediction. Now, as you know, last time, I do get some X-Foxes that sort of predict. And Ian Marshall, known for being controversial and known for not always saying that we will win, but we're all pretty confident there. Steve Walsh has gone 2-1 for us. Steve Lynex, I've actually got that the wrong way round. He's actually gone 2-1. Oh, no. Steve Lynex, sorry, he has gone 2-1 for you. Steve Lynex thinks that you are going to beat us. I had him on the show. It's gone to his head, obviously. You know. Ian Marshall's gone 2-0, and I think it'll be a tough game. I know it's away from home and we play better away from home, but I think it'll be a tight game, and it might just be the one goal in it. You're obviously going to go with Fulham, aren't you?
I think so. I think 2 months ago I predicted was a 1-1 draw, and we went one better and got a win. I'm actually going to predict a 2-1 victory to Fulham. I think it could be an ugly win at times. It might be a late winner, penalty, 93rd minute, but I don't care how the win comes, as long as we get those 3 points on the board. But I think we can compete with yourselves. As long as we turn up, organised, up for it, then we could be a match for you on the day. But I am a little bit nervous that you tend to play a little bit better on away from home than you do at home. Your away form is much better than your home form.
I am clinging to that like you wouldn't believe. It's like, come on, we're away from home. It is that potential banana skin. Look, I obviously don't wish you luck for Wednesday night. I'd be lying if I said I did. But I do like to say, and this is no disrespect when I say little clubs, because I still class us as a little club. I'd love the likes of yourselves to stay up and Newcastle to go down. I just think it's
so much pleasure if that happens. So much pleasure.
Good for football to see the big clubs struggle sometimes, isn't it? But give your podcast and everything a shout out. Yeah,
absolutely. So do listen to us on at Cottage Talks. I tend to do the post-match full-time show, literally reflect on the performance straight after a game. Then we've got plenty of shows. So do listen to us on at Cottage Talk, and obviously follow myself at Teddy Nello as well. So
That's we do a post-match one as well. Ours is like 40 minutes after final whistle, so it gives us all a chance to calm down if we lose. So that's at Cottage Talk. People can listen to you and they get that on obviously the main podcast platform, and at Teddy Nello there, and at Cottage Talk, I presume, on Twitter as well. Absolutely. Emilio, thank you so much for coming on. Like I said, I won't wish you luck because I really don't mean it, but I do wish you luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much.
I hope you stay up. Would love to see you stay up, and hopefully we'll be playing you next season.
I hope so. Thanks for having me on, Chris. So, come on, Fulham. We can do it. We can do it this season.
I can cut you off now.
Thanks, mate. Enjoy the game anyway.
Stay safe. Give the rest of everybody down there. And like I say, look forward to seeing you next year.
I hope so. Fingers crossed. Take care. Thank you.
Take care. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That's Emilio there from at Cottage Talk, the Fulham fan. Very honest, very good with his answers. What's going to happen? Are we going to have another banana skin? Are we going to struggle? Do you know what? I've got a feeling we might. I just got that feeling in my water. Depends, obviously, what happens today. Who we're going to get, Shimboa, whatever he's called, Maitland, no. A loan to come in so we can get a loan to go out. Thanks to Stephen for saying great show, guys. We've got another one coming up later on. Facebook users there, the Watford player. I know he's playing. It looked like that might have gone quiet. Maitland Niles is on his way north, they said, but it's getting a bit fluid because there's another team come back in. Now, whether that's us come back in or another Premier League team, who knows? Arsenal don't want to let him come to us. Is it right that we're going to take a midfielder? Well, he wants to play midfield. We know that Rodgers wants a midfield player. Are we doing the right thing, getting a midfielder in so we can let a midfielder go out? Is Chowdhury that bad? I don't think so. We need a striker, don't we? Join us at 8:45. Me, Brad, and a ton of special guests will be coming on, looking at the transfer window and having a chat. And if there's nothing to chat about, we'll just talk Leicester and what we should be doing in the transfer window. 8:45, guys. All the normal places. Remember, if you want to listen to us on Catch Up, you can catch us on our podcast, which is Leicester Till I Die, and that's on Google, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, and all good podcast platforms. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for your questions. I'll be back in a few hours, 8:45, with Brad and guests, and we'll have the transfer show all the way through till 11. I'm going to have a drink and get ready. Stay safe, guys. See you later.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Leicester Till I Die podcasts on the Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Anchor, and all podcast platforms.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.